I hate Apple just as much as the next guy that uses Samsung, and Google definitely has me enslaved. But all that's nothing compared to what is, in my mind, the singular worst corporate overlord to ever exist. I present to you, paragon of greed and gluttony, Tao ancestor of ruthless scamming, the virulent venomous viper, he who has lost humanity, Qidian! It's the year 2016, and everything's looking all sunshine and rainbows in the Asian novel translation community. The Japanese novel readers are complaining about yen press, some good Korean novels are finally being translated, and Wuxia World, one of the two largest Chinese novel sites in the community, just got a licensing agreement to translate 20 novels for Qidian. Qidian is the largest web novel website in China, and it holds a license to basically all the popular Chinese web novels. It's also under Tencent. And if you don't know who Tencent is, congratulations! You've just found the secret final boss. Tencent is one of the largest companies in China, owning WeChat and holding significant stocks in Epic Games, Snapchat. It owns League of Legends. All in all, 2017 was looking to be a good year, with Qidian taking a gentle approach. Holy fuck, is that a flaming dumpster? For some reason, the translators at Gravity Tales, the other largest Chinese novel hosting site, all started to leave. First, it was Chorimaru, then CK Talon, and so on and so forth, with Good Guy Person, the owner of the site, just staying silent. Well, the whole situation is a bit confusing, but I'm sure there's nothing wrong. Oh my god. As known to all, Qidian and Wuxia World came to an agreement several months ago to authorize Wuxia World to translate 20 novels for Qidian, meaning the ownership of the translations will still belong to Qidian. Aside from those 20 authorized novels, there are still 11 unauthorized novels being hosted on Wuxia World. We acknowledge that Wuxia World, of course, they make great contributions to the community. However, in this case where we were trying to build a good cooperation, they privately approached the translators of Gravity Tales and hosted those unauthorized novels on a site without any permission of Qidian, which is totally unacceptable and out of business ethic. Therefore, we are making a formal statement here. All unauthorized novels of Qidian should be removed within 3 days. For people who are following the novels, we won't let you down. We are now officially inviting all translators who did a wonderful job on those 11 titles to join us. Thomas had not seen such bullshit before. Alright guys, this is the first interaction we're going to have with the community. How should we approach this? I think we should emphasize that we are the #1 web novel host in China. Let's DMCA the Qidian translated novels first, since they only got the approval from the authors. How about we take advantage of the fact that we only verbally promised Wuxia World and take the novel they translated. On top of that, we can take the opportunity to slander them and then try poaching their translators. We're not fucking idiots. Why would you need to make a formal statement out in the forums for everyone to see about a private business matter if you weren't trying to slander someone? Soon after, Wuxia World's response came out. In this post, they talked about how they were in talks with Qidian for months, but because their conditions were too imposing, the talk fell through a week ago. Every single translators from Gravity Tales were not actively recruited by Wuxia World, and in fact, Qidian's the one who's been privately messaging threats and warnings to try and force Wuxia World's translators to join them. As for the request to take down the novels on the site, Wuxia World apparently had a formal authorization agreement and an oral commitment from Qidian stating that they could bring out any new novels onto the site. At the end of the post, they go on to say that they'll fight in any court of law to protect these so-called 11 unauthorized translations, since the projects were only started after Qidian had given oral agreements. Then this happened. Wuxia World's translations of those 11 unauthorized novels were straight up web scraped and pasted onto Qidian's website, with their PR person saying a bunch of ridiculous things that would soon be addressed by Wuxia World. They claimed that the DMCA was filed a month ago and had nothing to do with them suddenly copy and pasting the Wuxia World chapters over. This is a lie. The DMCA was sent literally 24 hours ago, right before they started copying chapters over, probably hoping to get web traffic into their website immediately. Then, there are the claims that they had to do this right away because RWX, which is the owner of the Wuxia World website, failed to reply.
In the entire past 2 months since they started this nonsense, I have received exactly one email from Qidian on May 22nd and I responded to it within 1 day. They are claiming that Wuxia World paid to dual host. Wuxia World paid them to dual post. Does anyone believe that? That we paid them to work for their website for free? There's also a chat record containing logs showing Hi, Jaster, and Austin, the Qidian spokesperson, gloating over how Qidian would be able to gain Wuxia World's traffic by these actions and how fucked Wuxia World will be. There's just so much obvious lies from Qidian at this point that it's just clear that they're just employing dirty corporate methods.
While this whole shitstorm is going on, Gravity Tales sends out their official statement stating that they want nothing to do with this. So that was a fucking lie. Ta-da! GGP sold out to Qidian!
Around this time, a bunch of former Gravity Tales translators start to talk, claiming that the reason for the exodus back in the beginning of 2017 was because they didn't want to be a part of the Gravity Tales sell-off. Some of the posts even mentioned that GGP was trying to force translators to sign Qidian's very restrictive contracts so he could safely sell Gravity Tales. Of course, GGP denied all this, but with how shady he's been during this time, he wasn't able to clear his name in the community.
I personally have two theories about what happened. One, Wuxia World and the translators that left Gravity Tales lied, and Wuxia World did poach some translators from Gravity Tales. Given the evidence, I do find this unlikely, and if anything did happen, it was probably just some unexpected or unfortunate accident that just caused the exodus. At any rate, GGP saw no more hope for developing Gravity Tales and he sold out. Or two, GGP was never too invested in Gravity Tales to begin with, and when Qidian came to make a huge deal with him, he got interested. However, he knew that Gravity Tales translators and novels did not belong to him. There was never any contracts between them as he himself admits, and it was more of a community gathering than anything. So, he tried to tie down the translators in some way, maybe with Qidian's restrictive contract, and some of them really didn't like that, with some of the discussions around it becoming very heated, until finally, Hyorimaru leaves, warning his other translator friends in Gravity Tales. The information spreads, and thus the exodus begins, and then GGP sells Gravity Tales to Qidian. Honestly, I'm inclined to believe in my second theory because in his post, he continually talks about how all that will change with Qidian holding the majority stock is that they will have a backing of the biggest web novel company in China, and unless you're incredibly naive, there's no way you would believe that. And history has proven me right, as after the takeover, Gravity Tales very rarely had any updates, basically becoming a ghost town overnight. All in all, it was a sad day for the community when everyone realized that Good Guy Person was, in fact, not a good guy, but just a regular person. So, at the end of this entire fiasco, what did the aftermath of this look like? Well, Gravity Tales is essentially dead at this point, to absolutely no one's surprise. Ever since the acquisition, no maintenance has been done on the site, and all the links for the Gravity Tales is now currently being redirected to Qidian's website. It's safe to say that the reason Qidian bought out Gravity Tales seems to be to just merge it into themselves. I actually quite like this quote from Otaku31. What final nail in the coffin? There is no fucking coffin. They fucking donated their body, both alive and dead, to Qidian. Wuxia World, to no one's surprise, but to everyone's disappointment, did not win the case. In fact, maybe because of the shock of the Qidian invasion, it began to become a formal company themselves, working mainly with Korean novel publishers and some non-Qidian Chinese novel publishers. As for Qidian, Qidian changed their overseas operation name from Qidian International to Web Novels, and just pretends that nothing ever happened. As a final fuck you to the community, they pretended like they weren't gonna paywall the chapters, then made you watch ads for the new chapters, then gave you daily passes for one chapter, and now, the paywall has appeared. Incidentally, as of 2020, Qidian's been trying to screw over the writers of the novels, calling them ghostwriters of their own novels, and stating that they have the right to change the authors of the novels at any point in time. It's been 5 whole years since this happened, and I've had time to calm down a bit. I still hate Qidian, yes. But if you think about it from a cold business perspective, it's not like they did anything wrong. They had the money, the lawyers, the experience to just run circles around our community. And they did. And what can we do about that? My problem is that they were just so unreasonable about the whole thing. I know that I have no power in front of a large corporation. I know that they only care about the money in the community. But did they really have to act like we were just ants to just trample over? How much of a trouble would it have been for the largest company in China to just buy the translations instead of just casually web scraping them off of Wuxia World? Did they really have to act like they were working together with Wuxia World before trying to take down all the novels on their website? Why couldn't they have just taken down the novels from the very beginning and just started up their own website with thousands of great novels they clearly have access to? It frustrates me because I can see thousands of different ways in which Qidian could have successfully come into the overseas market without just screwing over the community. And you know what the worst part about it is? They expect us to smile and give them millions of dollars after they butt raped us. Not to mention it wasn't just that. They butt raped us, then blatantly told us that they didn't do it, then said that one of our friends was a culprit, and bought the other one out to testify against us. To me, this marked the point when the community just completely fractured. Everyone was tired of this entire drama, and many distanced themselves from the community because of this. Then, paid positive reviews started appearing on novel reviews and forums, which made you unsure if you were even interacting with an actual person. And most of the good novels were now on a business-like website, which meant that the human interaction in the community was now scarcer than ever before. Honestly, this entire video was just me trying to vent out my frustrations and remember what exactly happened. Because even as someone who's experienced this personally, time makes everything blurry. And at the very least, I want to make sure that what Qidian did is not lost to time. Hey, thanks for reaching the end of this video. I got COVID in the middle of it, so my voice is kind of weird in the middle, if you can tell. Anyways, I really appreciate you subscribing and ringing that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Also, Wuxia World, too fucking hard to pronounce. Wuxia World. Wuxia World. Wuxia World. Wuxia World. Wuxia World. Wuxia World.